Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship.
I could see them hauling people across the street, and I was like, oh, are these people just being disobedient, difficult? I don't know why, but whatever. It doesn't register at the point. I was only standing alone by myself, nobody around me. I'm well I'm meters away from anybody, and a police officer asked me to come with him, and I'm like, why? And he said, you're not wearing a mask.
I'm Tamara Ugolini for Rebel News. Today, bringing you Philip Merleau's story. It sounds like the police in Montreal, Quebec were in the Christmas spirit, Philip, when they ticketed you on December 20th for being in close proximity to others during a protest that was taking place. You were fined $1,546. The ticket is quite illegible. So maybe you can just tell us what you think the fine was for and what happened to lead up to that point.
Well, my wife and we arrived on the scene early. There was very little protesting really going on at that point, but I certainly could see a heavy police presence that I'd never seen in any other of these protests I've been through in the past for this actual thing that's going on today with this COVID-19 and all the restrictions. And so I was questioning whether we should be sticking around at all. But my wife was quite curious, and so she kept a mask on and started taking pictures within the small crowd. And I just stepped to the outside of what was going on to make sure that, because I'm not wearing a mask, I consider myself exempt for medical issues. And so I stood on the outside, and I was literally standing with the police. So I figured, well, I must be in safe, and good company. I'm outside of the protest area, and I'm with amongst the police. I should be good to go. I'm only waiting for my wife to finish taking pictures because I'm looking at this scene and I'm saying, I don't think maybe we should stick around, or at least stay on the outskirts and see what happens, and if things progress and everything looks peaceful like they say that was supposed to be about this protest was about, a Christmas spirit. Families were coming, there was children, and so, but I could see them hauling people across the street, and I was like, oh, are these people just being disobedient, difficult? I don't know why, but whatever. It doesn't register at the point. I was only standing alone by myself, nobody around me. I'm I'm meters away from anybody, and a police officer asked me to come with him, and I'm like, why? And he said, you're not wearing a mask. I said, well, I'm exempt. This is not in a protest. So I didn't give them a hard time whatsoever. I just followed them. They took me across the street, had me stand outside while he put himself in a warm school, or like a school bus, a bus they had there, to keep themselves warm while they wrote out tickets to people. So I'm standing out in the cold for maybe 15 minutes or so, or until he finally gave me the ticket and explained to me everything was in French. And when it comes to legal situation like that, I speak English because that's my mother tongue, even though I'm French, or have a French name. So then once I repeated, they asked me if I understood, and I said, I think so. I responded in English, and so his one of the other police officers there responded back to me because he could speak in English, and he said, do you understand the ticket? And I said, I think so. I wasn't too clear for me, but anyway, and they just said that you've been given a ticket because of the mask and stuff like that, and if you continue to stay around here without a mask, you could be ticketed again. So I sort of put up my collar here to see this, and I covered my face and walked away. And so that was the extent of the situation there. And I figured, well, I guess I'm already deep in here. I guess maybe we'll continue. So we followed the procession for a while. And then we pulled out before it got to the congregation in Pac La Fontaine in Montreal, where we was. We never made it to there. And after seeing the video footage, I'm glad My wife is older than I, and she's actually in the risk category. Although there is no risk, we decided to not participate any further. She wasn't feeling comfortable anymore, and neither was I. I guess I figured that things looks like they're going to escalate here, so we pulled out, and I think it was a sort of a good thing. Unfortunately, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, were you surprised when you were pulled aside to be ticketed for your inability to wear a mask?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I figured that I could definitely use, the exemption, and they weren't accepting any exemption.
Mm-hmm.
So what can you do at that point? They've got their own set of rules, and so I just played along because, as you can see, if anybody resists, it escalates. So it's useless. You just follow through, take the stupid ticket, and and I'll see you in court, and if it even gets there. And I'm seeing now people getting letters now canceling the tickets. I had seen them online from the Quebec government. They're being canceled here and there. So I don't know if that's going to be the case with myself. I believe so, even on a technicality purpose, because it's not even my right address. So we'll see where it goes.
Mm-hmm. And again, this was an outdoors demonstration, which the Quebec COVID-19 landing page stipulates that, I guess, even during a demonstration, you have to be masked. They do outline the exemptions, but state essentially that anyone who's exempt is urged not to partake. So I guess it's a double-edged sword there. If you want to protest against some of your government actions, but you're mask exempt, you're not allowed to do that.
Yeah, that's
I mean, to ticket people
so much
outside.
there's confliction everywhere, right? That left doesn't know what the right is doing, and so yeah. But what do you want to do? I mean, if people don't stand up to this, we're in big trouble. So I'm not stopping, and everybody else needs to do the same. There is no savior in this. You are your own, and so stand up. We have no choice but to be civil disobedient to this situation, just from what I can see.
Now you have sent in your ticket, pleaded not guilty. Have you heard anything from the courts?
No, there hasn't been any return. I sent it in literally registered mail as well to make sure it got there. And it got there, and so no, there hasn't been any feedback at this point. But like as I was saying, it may come back as as not legal. It's just not legal. So the courts, it looks to me just more of an intimidation thing than anything else. I mean, yeah, if you pay it, they'll take your money. I'd like to know what they do with it. It's certainly
Absolutely.
not helping us or victims. I doubt it very much.
Do you have a message for the police, Philip, that were there that day, or for any future interactions?
They've got families themselves. Everybody's going to be affected by this thing. It's just a question of time that even the police will be next. You will be replaced because of that. You have families here. You have connection. And that's going to be an interference in a dictatorship. And so they won't have much choice but to replace them somehow, some way. Things are just, for me, are going to deteriorate unless even they stand up to this.
Well, thank you for joining me, Philip. You have formally submitted your fine to our Fight the Fines campaign at fightthefines.com.
Yes, thank you.
What do you think about that campaign? Would you otherwise be able to fight this on your own, or obviously not pay the fine?
Legal help is always helpful in these things. I don't know everything. I'm certainly informing myself. I think I have a half decent leg to stand on, that's for sure. But yes, no, I appreciate very much the help from Rebel News with this Fight the Fines. It's a good thing for people who don't know where to look and what have you. Everything will help. Yeah, it's a good thing for sure.
Great. Well, thanks again for joining me, and we will see how these fines and these tickets uphold and the constitutionality of them once they actually reach the court of law. For Rebel News, I'm Tamara Ugolini. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Rebel News channel so you can stay up to date with our stories as they break. Here at Rebel News, we're putting out more content and showing the other side of the story more than ever before that you don't want to miss. In order to receive premium Rebel content, please consider subscribing to Rebel News Plus at rebelnewsplus.com.